The Special Investigating Unit Tribunal says it's ready to start going after those responsible for the looting of billions from the state's coffers. The unit has handed over a number of cases to the tribunal, which was established by President Cyril Ramaphosa earlier this year. The value of cases ready for adjudication and recovery stands at about 14.7 billion rand currently. The question is, who are these people that they're going to be gunning for? Well, joining me tonight is SIU Tribunal Spokesperson Selby Makgatho. Selby, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Kathy. Good evening, and good evening to the viewers.
So who's top of that list as you try and recover this 14.7 billion rand?
Basically, what is happening is that we will not immediately have a full list of the people that will be following up. But suffice to say, our scope and our mandate actually is derived from the SIU. The SIU has now given us the first batch of cases that they've been investigating. Currently, we are gunning for we have the SIU and the Gauteng Department of Health as our plaintiffs. You will remember that we had the challenge of life acid main. So, in a tragedy, wherein according to the files actually that we have that have been submitted to the tribunal, we are looking for an amount of 5.5 million. So that is our point of call. We have met with the management of the SIU 2 weeks back, and they've given us an assurance that based on the cases that they've investigated, a lot is still coming our way.
I want us to speak about the reasons behind breaking down these cases into batches and in sectors, as far as I understand. What does that do for the pace at which you're able to work? So is the tribunal going to be specifically focusing on sectors? So once you're done with health, then you'll go to education and then go to a different sector. And what impact does that have on the overall process in terms of the timeframes you're working within?
No, basically, if you look at the impact or the magnitude of the exercise itself, you do realize that there is a lot actually at hand. We will not immediately say we've got this batch of cases, then all the cases must be resolved overnight. We take it on a case-by-case issue. So another thing that maybe I need to emphasize is that we look at what is an estimated amount that the tribunal ought to recover. We're talking of 14.7 billion. So it cannot be recovered overnight. It is a process. So once the files come, the President Judge Makgatho is able to allocate the cases to the other members of the tribunal, who are also the other judges. And as such, that is the mechanism that we're going to be using to attend to all the cases. We are aware that actually we only have 3 years to do all the work, so time is not on our side. This morning we got an indication from the SIU that in a week or so, more other cases will be coming. So as and when they come, they will be attended to, they will be adjudicated, and as such, civil proceedings will commence.
Let's talk then about life acid main. You're talking just over 5 million odd that you're trying to recover. Where exactly, who are you going to try and go to pay that money back?
Well, this is taxpayers' money, remember. Our mandate is to recover the money on behalf of the taxpayers that have been unlawfully taken from the public purse. So, according to the files that we have got about 13 defendants. We have since issued them with the summons yesterday. We are just waiting for the return of service. As soon as the return of service has been, we receive that, we will be able to put the matter on the roll, and the proceedings will commence. So it's a question of going for those NPOs. Mainly these are NPOs that have unduly and unfairly enriched themselves. They've submitted fraudulent invoices, they've exaggerated, they've added the amounts. So there's been a lot of irregularities, a lot of malpractices, a lot of maladministration. But over and above, we are also mindful of the fact that these people are working with some of the officials. It's not like because it's the SIU or it's the Department of Health. They were in submitting the invoices to some of the officials. So all these people will have to bring back what was unduly taken from the public purse.
You bring me to my next point, because obviously whatever transgressions have taken place would not take place without the signatories of different officials within the various departments. So how much accountability then will be resting with those officials? So are we likely to see chief financial officers who signed off on these invoices then also being held to account or having to take on some liability for the monies that have gone missing? Because these MPs
absolutely the amended Act of to a point wherein subpoenas will have to be issued, where witness testimony is required. It will be sourced from those people. But over and above, we are not necessarily taking away the functions of the accounting officers, because I am of the assumption that internal disciplinary measures would have to be taken. But we come where the tribunal comes in is where we have to look into the judgments that are going to be granted. If ever there are interdicts, if ever there is any documentary evidence that is required, if ever witnesses have to be called to be cross-examined, the tribunal has those powers, and we are attempting at all costs to do our work impartially, independently, without any fear, without any prejudice. So we are not going to be looking at who is involved. What is of interest to the tribunal and our core mandate is to recover or get what people unlawfully and perhaps intentionally took from the public and enrich themselves in this manner. So,
sure,
looking at what the SIU has uncovered that has come to the tribunal, it is quite shocking how the network, this syndicate, is more of a crime syndicate that was at work. And we are asking ourselves, where was accountability at that point? Because it should have been picked up way before it even got to explode to a point where it did, up until the commission by Justice Moseneke. So
you've spoken about how while you pursue some of these matters on a civil level in terms of recouping the monies, the NPA is going to be tasked then with following on the prosecution aspect, or the prosecution leg. Given the fact that you're describing this as a criminal syndicate, are you going to be taking cases to the NPA for formal charges to be brought against some of these individuals?
Well, there is a very thin line there, because we as the tribunal are responsible for civil proceedings. Our core business is to recover, to recoup the money. The NPA, the Hawks, will pursue the criminal part of the proceedings.
But if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that from your studying of the evidence that's before you, it's clear that there were some form of criminal networks in place, and yet we don't have anybody to date that has necessarily been charged for any of this. So to the extent that you see where the problems in the system were, who some of the people who should be held accountable are, but there's still no action, what then do you do to ensure that the full course of justice for the taxpayers on whose behalf you're acting will be fully materializes?
Well, there are going to be quite a number of things that are going to happen, and I do not want us to leave the point where we need to draw the line, because we are responsible for recovering the money. So if ever there are any attachments orders to be issued or to be granted, they will be entertained as such. But also, the very same SIU, wherein they did find that there were irregularities, especially the criminal part of the process. The NPA and the Hawks have since been activated. They will be handling the criminal aspects. So, we will once the civil proceedings commence, where there is a need, for instance, to recover the money, if ever there is any form of civil litigation that we are going to explore, the Act empowers us to go to do that maximally.
5 million rand is a significant amount of money, but in the context of some of the monies that we've heard being looted at SOEs, it simply is a drop in the ocean. I wonder then whether on the cases on your table there's anything significant that you're working on that's related to SOEs, very briefly.
Yes, well, we based on on what the brief that we got from the SIU is that they've actually given us case by case in terms of the provinces. And at the moment, I will remember that the province of Mpumalanga, the province of the Free State and the Northwest, and KwaZulu-Natal, those are the provinces actually that are top on the radar of the SIU. But then we will not necessarily delve into that terrain because we have to get the cases, once they've been investigated, they've been concluded. Ours is to adjudicate the civil proceedings, and in doing that, we should do that on a balance of probabilities so that we do not prejudice any other party. But suffice to say, the 4 provinces that I've mentioned are the ones that actually, based on what we have received, the report that we received from the SIU, are the provinces that we are expecting cases from these particular provinces.
All right, Selby Makgatho, he's the SIU Tribunal spokesperson. So as you heard there, the Life ACD matter being top of the agenda currently, they're pursuing just over 5 million rand in civil claims, mainly from the MPOs that benefited from that particular transaction. We'll take a short break. I'm back with the day's top stories in a moment. Do stay with us.